Hi guys, thank you for joining me. Today we're going to discuss the different types of lupus and the symbols associated with lupus. Please note that the site content is provided for information purposes only, and I share my experiences with lupus as a nurse and an individual living with lupus. So this information must not substitute professional, medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. The book that I've written, titled The Show Must Go On, can be ordered on my website, which is www.theshowmustgoonbook.co.za. The book talks about my journey with lupus. It is a raw, no-holds-barred perspective on life with lupus. So if you would like to purchase it as a gift to somebody who is struggling with lupus, or perhaps somebody who is going through a tough time in their lives and need it in order to read and make sure that the show goes on in their lives. Guys, if you are enjoying this content, please like, subscribe, and comment. Share this video with people in your world, and let's make it our own responsibility to make lupus known. So in line with lupus education, we are going to be discussing the 4 different types of lupus that is prevalent. There is cutaneous lupus, drug-induced lupus, neonatal lupus, which also affects children as well, and then we have systemic lupus erythematosus, which is what I commonly talk about because that is the type of lupus that I have. Cutaneous lupus affects the skin, and you also get a type of lupus called discoid lupus. Discoid, hence the name discoid. It is disc-like shaped. It has a round rash appearance, but it's very thick and scaly. Sometimes can appear to be erythematous, very red, and this is usually diagnosed by a skin biopsy. So a dermatologist will see you, do a skin biopsy, and let you know if this is a discoid lupus. Then we have drug-induced lupus, and this is basically what it says. It's some sort of medication that has caused lupus. However, when these medications are identified and discontinued, the lupus can go into remission. Then there's neonatal lupus that develops at birth, usually goes away after a few weeks or months after birth, and the effects are targeted, they are identified and treated accordingly, and usually goes away in this time frame. We also have pediatric lupus, lupus found in children, and then there's systemic lupus erythematosus, SLE. This is considered to be the most intense, life-threatening type of lupus, and this is the type of lupus that affects one or more of the internal organs, systems, and skin. These are different types of lupus, and when people are diagnosed with lupus, it can be one of these types of lupus that they are diagnosed with. The doctor will look at the clinical manifestations together with the blood work, blood results, and the objective data, what the doctor sees in the patient, and the subjective data is what the patient tells the doctor. These all come together, and then a diagnosis is put together, and the specific type of lupus that you have will be discussed with you and the treatment accordingly. The symbols associated with lupus. The word lupus was derived by a physician in the 13th century who was treating a woman who had a malar butterfly rash over her cheeks and nose. Lupus is Latin for wolf. You know, when I think about the malar rash, or the malar rash if you want to call it, I remember I had this rash initially prior to my diagnosis. It was years before I ever presented fully with lupus, and I am not light-skinned, so when I would go into the shower, I would have this very red inflammatory rash that would come on, and after a while it would turn dark in appearance. I remember I was still working as a nurse at that time, and I would buy a lot of creams, a lot of face creams, a lot of face washes, and whatever I could try, and I'm not a person who uses a lot of makeup, but at that time I had to try and camouflage the butterfly rash that I had. But even then I could not cover up the rash because it was so intense. I didn't fully understand what it meant. I didn't even know what it was. No one told me that it could be associated with lupus. I think it was up to from 6 months to about a year that the rash slowly faded away, and obviously years later I presented with much different symptoms of lupus. So not every lupus patient gets the rash. It can happen, I think mostly at about, I stand to be corrected, about 80% of patients that do have the malar rash, which is a butterfly shaped rash on the cheeks and over the nose as well. Because this rash appears red in nature, this physician described this rash to that of a bite of a wolf that would ravage its prey. He mentioned the analogy of the wolf ravaging lupus patients' organs and systems. The physician, Rogerius, used this description of erosive facial lesions that were reminiscent of a bite of a wolf, the fierce nature of the wolf, and our immune systems when its merciless nature damages our bodies during a flare-up. We raise awareness for lupus by the purple butterfly being the icon symbol. Why the purple butterfly? Again, because of the malar rash that appears on the cheeks of most of the lupus warriors, not all. The rash resembles a butterfly shape, hence it has become a popular symbol in that it represents lupus. Butterflies are also significant because they are a symbol of hope. Maya Angelou wrote, "We delight in the beauty of a butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." Transformation, that is, a change in appearance, nature, or character, and this is so true about lupus warriors. We that suffer from lupus can bear testament that once we are diagnosed, we can never remain the same again. A complete transformation occurs, and this disease can be destructive physically. We can choose to have a mental transformation that is so impactful that you will not look like what you have been through or are going through, so that you somehow find that inner gut strength that helps you to endure this cross with grace. There is strength in numbers. If we work together with our family members and friends and our community to wear the purple ribbon and show off our purple butterflies, we can bring attention to the disease and demonstrate its impact both at home, everywhere we go, and on social media. With the Purple Butterfly Challenge, working together, we hope to transform the healthcare landscape and get more funding for lupus research. You can support lupus awareness by wearing a symbol you like, a wolf, perhaps a purple butterfly or a purple ribbon. The lupus butterfly symbol embodies transformation and hope. It turns lupus into an image of optimism and positivity. A lack of public awareness into this widespread knowledge and understanding, and a painful and debilitating disease into a commitment to finding a cure. Lupus is really difficult to battle day in and day out, leaving warriors feeling despaired, despondent, and deflated. We can't negate the difficulties faced because of the challenges experienced when prompt medical care and medication is needed. Lupus patients face medical boarding much earlier in life, unemployment due to recurring sick leave, something I have personally experienced. And when the life we plan and the life we know don't align, it simply isn't easy to move on. I really feel with these patients and I really connect with them because I have been through this personally. As I've mentioned before, I waited 4 years for a biologic drug. And imagine waiting 4 years for a drug whilst knowing that your kidneys are busy shutting down, that your disease progression is on an upward trajectory, knowing that you don't have any control over what is happening. I discuss these simple symbols in my book on page number 221, and 222. The cross we are called to bear. Every one of us has our crosses, and none of us can or will escape it. Now, this is not a religious connotation. However, whenever we speak about bearing a cross, it will resemble something painful. And as a Christian, I always use the analogy of the cross and what it means to me. And when I have to describe lupus in medical terms, I say that it is a chronic disease, because it is. That is a fact associated with lupus, especially systemic lupus erythematosus. But if I had to discuss lupus in spiritual terms, I would describe it as long suffering. It is resilient. It doesn't give way. And that's my way of describing it. If you have a cross to bear, it means you have a responsibility or a difficult situation which you must tolerate. This phrase is often used to describe a burden that someone must handle on their own, an individual journey that is not pleasant or easy, even though we can have a support system. Lupus is very individualized, it's very personal, it's very deep and intense, that many times we are not always able to articulate what we feel. And when we are educated about lupus and commit ourselves to creating awareness, we leave a lasting impact on this earth. The actions that we demonstrate change the mental state of others around us, and therefore have the power to change the future path of individuals and communities, leaving a marked effect and influence for generations to come. I hope that this information today has given you great insight into the lupus world and given you some sort of education. I know a lot of people ask me, why do you guys always have a purple butterfly attached to lupus? Why do you always wear a purple ribbon? Or when we have events and we host lupus awareness days and months, we always associated with the color purple. And so I thought that this would be really educational for people that don't know. My encouragement to my fellow warriors today is, suffering has an expiration date. Please don't give up. Until next time, guys, remember, the show must go on. Keep the faith. Let's try and impact one person in our world today. Love you guys. Thank you.